I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Project Recovery. Dr. Matt, you've never been to rehab.
I have never been to rehab.
So, a lot of people, I had never been to rehab until I went once. And
Right.
I've only been once. But there's
One and
people
done, right?
one and done. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
But there's people that have been to 3, 4, 6, heck, even 9. We've had people on here.
At least 9, right?
Yeah, that have gone to it. And a lot of times when I'm talking to people out and about and I talk about my recovery and I talk about rehab, Pinnacle Recovery, where I went, people always have questions. So we thought we'd take time on this to tell you some things that you don't know about recovery.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of questions. I mean, a lot of times the question I would get, well, do I get my phone? No.
No, you don't get the phone.
No, you don't get your phone. They're not at Pinnacle, at least. At some recoveries, they might, but I doubt it.
I would say if it's one that allows you to have your phone, it's probably after a period of time where you've kind of earned that back, or not earned it back, but just kind of demonstrated that you've made enough progress.
We were allowed to have our phones in recovery, but they were in the med room locked up. And the only reason we were able to have those is in case we needed a phone number off of them, because a lot of people don't remember phone numbers. I remember Tony Henderson's. It's 801-479-3789.
Is that from back when you were a kid?
Yeah, he was my best friend across the street. They own the Classic Skatings. You could probably call that number right now.
Yeah.
801-479-3789.
Right.
And
let's put that out there.
Sorry,
Let's
Mark
give
and
them a call.
Janine, if people call you, that's my fault. That's Casey. And they had the best freezer. Oh, man.
Did they have all the treats?
Oh,
Fat Boys? They had Fat Boys in there?
Yes. Oh, they had everything.
Oh,
But we have our phones in case we needed, do some banking, check emails and that. But you're always looking
So you
at
had to kind of go check it out.
Yeah, check it out. And we sit there
Use it right there.
with the therapist or with one of the house staff there. So you're not allowed to take your phone. People go, well, can I come and go when I want? No, that's not how this works.
No. Why not?
Because, one, we don't know where you're going.
Right.
2, you're here to learn. You're here to find out about yourself. You're here to do some introspection, and that's what we need to focus on. So let's take out all of the outside
distractions and temptations
and focus on you. So you are surrounded by someone all the time, except when you're sleeping. I did not know this until probably 3 weeks into recovery, and I spent 45 days there, that they came and checked on me every hour.
While you're sleeping.
Right. To make sure you were in your bed.
Right. No, they do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a car. I had nowhere to go. And
right.
so
Well, the truth is, as we've learned from lots of people on the show, I mean, you can hit those weak moments when you're in any time, but especially in the early stages of recovery, when you might do things that kind of throw your progress way off track. And so if you don't have some accountability, if somebody isn't keeping an eye on you during those early stages, it can get messy.
Another thing people say to me all the time, and there's like, well, I can't go. I mean, I'm a business owner. I've got responsibilities.
Right.
There's no way I can just do this. Mm-hmm. And then to that, I would say, keep going the way you're going. You're not going to have those responsibilities or that job anymore because it will come to a crashing end.
Yeah, we've heard that from lots of guests, but especially your buddy from growing up was
Burke Priest.
Burke Priest. Wow, that guy was a business tycoon. He could start a successful business in a heartbeat and then lose it.
Yeah, he could probably start 4 while in their recovery.
Right.
And so,
but they don't last if you're not clean and sober.
In the right mindset. And so, that's what you need to realize is that if you don't get right, all that other stuff you're going to lose anyways. And so when in the 12 steps and in recovery, a lot of people say, put the things, you put your recovery first. Because if you put anything else above recovery, that's what you're going to lose first.
Right.
And so you've got to make sure that you're clean and sober in order to have the family, to have the job.
So what would you recommend, though, then, to somebody who says that to you? And maybe they're not making it up. Maybe they are running a business, and without them there, legitimately may not it's going to have some real struggles, what would you tell them?
I would say there's a couple of options. There's something called the FMLA Act, which is the Family Medical Leave Act. And that can be initiated if you need medical treatment. And so you'd go talk to your HR, you'd go talk to your boss and say, hey, listen, what they're finding out is employers who get their employees right have a better employee than having to replace that employee if they go in the deep end.
It's much more expensive in time and resources to replace an employee than to keep an employee who's doing their job.
That's right. So there's the FMLA Act. Another thing is, if you own a business and you've got a partner, talk to the partner. Find somebody. And most people that I've found in recovery, if you're honest with them and upfront with them, they will go of leaps and bounds to help you. Nobody wants to stand over and you go, I told you. There's a couple people, but for the most part, they want you to get better.
Well, especially if you're partners, right?
Yeah.
Well,
that was kind of a creepy laugh.
I was being a little overly optimistic. But don't you think it's fear? I find that most of what holds people back in life is fear. I find that a lot of times when people are talking to me, and actually as a therapist, I try not to give too much direct advice. I like people to find their own answers with some guidance if possible. But a lot of times when I say things like, well, what about this? What about that? They usually have excuses that sort of sound like they looked into it, but they didn't really look into it because they were just afraid, and their fear made them assume an outcome. And so somebody who has a business partner who's like, oh, well, if I talk to them, or a boss, if I let my boss know I have a drinking problem, they're just going to fire me and let me go. And, and so they never go talk to the boss. They never find out about FMLA. They never talk to a business partner or a spouse or somebody who can step in for them potentially while they're in treatment. And so that it's that fear of the unknown.
The future tripping.
Yeah, and then we assume negative outcomes. And those negative outcomes rule our behaviors in the present, and we do unproductive things.
You know how many times I left AA Anonymous on my computer screen open just in hopes that my ex-wife or a family member would see it?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Just, and this is how warped my brain was, just in case they said, I think you're drinking too much. And I go, I think you're right. But hey, look, you see, I've been looking this up. But that's as far as I did.
That was just to kind of get him to back off.
Yeah, just to go, hey, look, I agree with you, and you try to manipulate the situation, and you go, hey, no, I agree, you're right. I've been looking it up. That wasn't going to go any further.
Because you're afraid of what the real conversation would lead to.
Yep. I mean, one day we'll get real stories in here. I mean, I'm telling real stories.
These aren't real stories?
No, but I got some doozies. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I got some doozies. The other thing is that and this was a tough thing for me. After the therapist and everybody leaves around 5 or 6, then the house staff comes in, and they're responsible for you from 6 till the next morning till they get there. And I was 45 years old, and I had a 19-year-old person. Babysitter. That's exactly what they were. I mean, they would take us to meetings, and they would help out, and a lot of them had been through recovery, so they were great to talk to, and they were a good resource of information.
But they're not the professionals.
And so sometimes, I mean, you were like, man, I'm 45, and you're 18, and you're telling me what to do, and you need to check your ego at the door. You need to check your ego at the door.
Yeah, that ego's one of the biggest stumbling blocks in life.
I mean, sure. it was crazy because I would sit there and I would go, huh.
In a way, you have to say, what does age have to do with it?
And you know what the reality was? And one of them told me this, and I go, what makes you think you can tell me what to do? And you know what he said? I'm sober now.
Yeah, there you go. Right back in your face.
Yeah. He goes, hey, I've been where you are.
Yeah.
And you want to be where I am. So
age didn't have anything to do with it. Experience had. It was the experience. He'd been there, worked it through. Now he was sober. He had something of value, that experience.
And he had something that I wanted.
Yeah, and that you wanted and that you needed. And it didn't have anything to do with age.
No.
Right.
And, some of the wisest people have been some of the youngest people that have come through the studio. And, the crazy thing in rehab was, sometimes there was a 50-year-old guy or a 60-year-old guy in there, and he would talk to the young guys. And I'd hear the young guys go, I'm going to make this one work. And I go, why? And he goes, because I don't want to be 60.
That guy.
And so you could learn so much. So check your ego and go. And one doesn't mean you're necessarily done. Like I said, we talked earlier that we've had people come in, do 6, 7, 8, 9 rehabs. I remember sitting there once, and there was this young kid, and there was a family meeting, and the dad looks at the kid and goes, son, after this, we're done. And the kid goes, technically, we're not done, Dad, until I'm done. Now, the kid's right. But the dad goes, no, we're done. We're out of money. Your mom's working again. We've blown through all the savings. After this, we are done. And I remember sitting there going, whoa.
Harsh reality.
Because that kid wasn't ready. And I don't know where the kid is now, and I hope he's sober. But, he was gotten very good at playing the rehab game. Of going.
Well, and that response of his would tell you his attitude wasn't ready.
Yeah. He's like, no, we're not done until I'm done, Dad. And he goes, I get that, son, and I wish you for nothing but the best. But after this.
But Mom and Dad are done.
We're done.
Yeah.
And that goes back to having those boundaries that you need to have and make sure you stick to.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I would say is when you're looking into a recovery center, questions. Ask all the questions you want. There's no such thing as a dumb question. But just don't go in blindly. Call 3 or 4 different ones because every house has a different vibe. Everyone has a different modality, and you're going to fit in better at one house than your other. I'm not saying one house is better than the other. It just might be better suited for you and your personality and your addiction and what you're looking for. So I don't want you to pick a recovery center just because it's the only one your insurance is going to pay for. If that's the case and that's the only one you can get in, take it.
Yeah.
But
it's still good to interview.
And call them. And if they don't want to answer their questions, if they don't want to send you over their curriculum, that'll tell you right there. Yeah. Say, I'd like to see your curriculum. I'd like to read your Google reviews. I'd like to find out from the Better Business Bureau if you've had any complaints, what's going on. Because a lot of times.
And a good place will be completely open about all that and want you to see it.
Yeah. Right. So make sure you do your research.
It reminds me of in psychology, we talk about different models of behavior. One is called the goodness of fit model. And the goodness of fit model is something that indicates that success in life is much more about the goodness, the positive fit between two things or a person and a thing than it is about one of them being amazing. So, for example, when you think about like a person and their profession, some people, I sometimes use myself as an example with this, and I would say, I think I'm probably smart enough to be a police officer. I think I could probably pass the test and all that, but I would be a terrible cop. Because I don't really like conflict.
You hate to run.
Well, no, we wouldn't be doing that. If I couldn't have a car, I'd be done. But, there's all of that. But
I do like handcuffs.
That's another story. But the truth is, my personality is so, I don't particularly like rules a whole lot. I like people who just kind of do their own thing, be in charge of yourself, I'll be in charge of me. I don't want to be in charge of other people, that kind of thing. And I'd make a terrible cop. But we need good police officers. So somebody who has the right personality structure is going to be a good police officer. And I think my personality probably fits pretty well with the profession I chose. But if I had to become a police officer, I doubt I would feel very successful in that. And I think goodness of fit model applies to absolutely everything. Our relationships, a really great, solid relationship, like maybe the one I brought up earlier today where the husband and wife are working together on the drinking problem. That's not because one of them is necessarily amazing and better than other people. It's because together they're a great fit.
Right.
And between you and a rehab center, if you don't take some time to try to find, like sometimes we use the term energy or the vibe or connection, until you feel that, you can be successful. Get in, don't not go, but if you take some time to find one that works for you, it's going to be more successful. You're going to feel better about it. I think like Pinnacle was a good fit for you.
Yeah, I wasn't able to check them because I was in detox, but there was 2 different ones. I sent my mom to go check them out. And my mom, knowing me like she knows, she comes back and says, I think Pinnacle is going to work for you.
Going to work, yeah.
And I walked in, and it just felt right.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the good fit, it often reminds me of teachers who hate kids.
I know.
You're like, why did you choose this job?
I've actually asked a few teachers, because I interact with teachers a lot throughout the school year, because I work with kids that need some accommodations and stuff. And in my career, I think I can think of twice, I've asked a teacher, I'm like, why did you become a teacher? It doesn't really seem like you're digging this. And both of them didn't have a great answer, but they knew I was right. They're like, yeah, it wasn't a good choice for me.
Yeah, who knows?
But then, we all remember that the one or two teachers we had growing up that were just awesome for us, and it's because they loved being there.
Miss Muller-Orton, Mount Ogden Middle School.
Yeah?
And then Herr Chavez. This is the funniest thing. Herr Chavez.
Yeah?
Was the German teacher. Yeah, he was.
Only in Ogden, baby.
Yeah, Herr Chavez, what's up, buddy? My name was Sir Walter.
Sir Walter?
Yeah. He
Nice.
taught me a German song. Do you want to hear it?
Sure I do.
Mein Hut, der hat Dreiecken, Dreiecken, der hat mein Hut. Mein Hut, der hat Dreiecken, Dreiecken, der hat mein Hut.
It sounds like you're just BSing that.
Nope. My hat, it has 3 corners. 3 corners has my hat. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was about a dragon.
Nope. Sehr good. Coming up, we're going to tell you how to keep your mind and your body healthy during the pandemic. You're listening to Project Recovery.
Two years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
There's desperation and anguish.
More than 80,000 Afghans have since arrived in America, but this story is still unfolding. I'm Andrea Smartin. In my new podcast, Stranger Becomes Neighbor, we'll find out what happens to these new arrivals in our communities. Who would help our newest neighbors? Follow us at kslpodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen.
All right, Dr. Matt. I was thinking about this, when people complain about the pandemic, and I know we're trying to focus on the positives, but, I think, USA, one of the big problems is that we're going to be gaining weight during the pandemic.
Sort of a joke, right, on social media. Everybody's kind of making memes and jokes about it.
Everybody's wearing stretchy pants and doing this. But I think, once again, as we talked about this whole podcast, is finding this silver lining during it. And I think one of the things you can do is get back in shape, because all of a sudden the excuse of saying I don't have enough time to work out is not valid, because we've all got plenty of time. So there's all kinds of different ways. Now, I know everyone's going to be like, Casey, the gyms are shut. I get it. The gyms are shut. But we live in a beautiful state, and there are so many things that you can do to get out there.
Do you think gyms are a bit of a racket, though?
Sure.
You don't need a gym in order to exercise and work out.
How many people walk out of prison ripped? They don't have a gym there.
Well, they might, don't they?
Some do, some don't.
Okay. I've never been to prison.
Me neither.
Okay, let's keep it that way.
But I've seen TV shows.
I watch movies.
Yeah.
I know what it's like.
But here's the thing. There's a lot of people that we've been figuring out is adapted to the situation. So gyms have now moved over to Zoom meetings. Right. And so you can do Zoom meetings.
You want that instruction on better ways to work out, different ways to work out, you can still get that.
Mm-hmm. And, we've had a couple of people. There's a podcast here called Return to Real with Neil Anderson. He does one, and he posts his videos every morning on Instagram. Our good friend Rob Eastman, he's posting videos of his gym.
I know. We need to help him out because he doesn't have a shirt.
Yeah, we're going to start a fundraiser for Rob Eastman.
Rob, get him a shirt.
Get him a shirt.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to do that, but also hikes. Social distance yourself, but go out and do that hike that you've been telling yourself you want to do. Make that connection with your family members. Go, all right, hey, we're going to go hiking today.
Right.
Go for a walk. You can do push-ups. You can do sit-ups. I mean, you can really get a full-body workout with just your body, using your own body weight.
Yeah, I've a good friend from high school posted that she was grateful for her home gym, and I looked at that picture the other day, and I was like, wow, that looked like Gold's Gym. I mean, that place is outfitted. But the reality is you don't need anything. You might need some ideas and some suggestions, which you can go online for. A lot of people will give you those for free, and you can find out ways to do isometric exercises just in and around your own home. The biggest thing, I think, as a psychologist that people tell me, and I am very guilty of, is for stuff like this saying, well, I don't have time. and we fill up our days in the past with driving here or there and really kind of using our time unproductively. And then we get home, we're like, oh, I'm too tired now. It's the end of the day. I can't work out. Well, the reality is many, many people have extra time right now, or they're home enough that they could build that time in. The truth is I'm probably working more hours than clinical hours than I did before for various reasons, but it's 99% from home. And I have, if I have a break, I'm home. And I don't have a commute in the morning or the evening anymore. I instead of using my lunch break to go talk to colleagues and do things, that's not very easy. So I'm home. I can go talk to my kids and make lunch. And so things like exercising, and the other thing is meditation. Meditation takes some time, just like a physical workout takes some time. And now we have time to do that. So if you've been that person over the years who've said, "Oh, I'm gonna, I just don't have time to work out. I wish I had time to go to the gym," now you don't have that excuse.
And meditation is so important because it really helps me in my recovery. Just the other night, I had a little bit of a panic attack, and I go into my square breathing, and I calm myself down, and I get back to sleep. Normally, that'd be a time that I would go down and chug a beer and just knock myself and go back to sleep. But now I don't have that option anymore.
Good.
So I just take a deep breath, in, out, hold it, and I really find myself. Now, there's a couple of apps. We really like Headspace.
Yeah.
And I like Headspace, and that's an app that you can download, and it'll walk you through. And there's all kinds of different meditations on there. There's a sleep meditation. There's an energy. There's emotional. There's just a lot of them that you can go through. Right. And I think this would be a good time to do that. Before the kids get up in the morning, find a corner in your room. Find a place out in the backyard. Put this on. Put your earphones in there, and just give it a shot. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, that's what's great about meditation is you really aren't risking anything.
So you got 20 minutes of silence?
Yeah.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah, it's like, as a 48-year-old, I usually have to pay for silence.
Yeah.
Like I'll pay money to have people leave me alone, right? What's great on meditation, a lot of times, a lot of people still have this idea that meditation and mindfulness, they have this mental image of a yogi sitting on a mountainside, with his legs crossed and all of that. And it's like, oh, I'm not really that guy.
Right, and that hippy-dippy stuff.
Right, and I don't have time to go hike up to the mountain to do that. And the reality is that the best place to start, if you doubt whether or not meditation is helpful for you, then take a challenge. For 1 week, just listen to a guided meditation. It doesn't get any easier than that. You don't have to learn how to meditate on your own. You just put in your earbuds or turn the stereo on, and you close your eyes and you listen to someone else, and you just listen to what they're saying for 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever you choose, and do it once a day for a whole week. I actually am going to challenge listeners. Call in or Facebook message us and let us know what that's like for you. If you feel like that was not a good experience, I'll have you on the show and we'll talk about it. Because I seriously have never, in my practice, I've never had somebody come back at me and say that wasn't at least moderately helpful. I'm glad I did it. And then if you really get into doing it that way, you can learn how to meditate on your own without somebody else, without an app. But for right now, that's such an easy thing to do. The other one I like besides Headspace is Calm.
Yeah.
And Calm has been an award-winning app, and both have quite a bit of free content that you can utilize. And people who are those anxious brain people, their mind's always going, when they do this for a week, they'll tell you, man, I just feel so much better. I can focus. I don't feel like my thoughts are racing all the time. And right now, just using the word pandemic or quarantine, those words set a lot of people right off into this panicky space. And so now is the best time to learn how to meditate, and you don't even have to know what you're doing. You just have to push play and listen for 20 minutes.
I'm going to one-up you. Next week, I'm going to bring somebody in and take us along, both of us, on a guided meditation. We'll talk to him about the power of meditation, and then we're going to have him take us along on a meditation, and we'll talk about our experience afterwards.
Man, it is so great. I've meditated for quite a few years now, but it is so great to have somebody who's a real expert guide you through a meditation. It is so cleansing. It's better than a nap. And I thought
you were going to say sex. And I was like, that's got to be some good meditation.
Really good meditation. No, but like I like to take a nap. If I'm tired, a good nap, I just feel great afterwards. And I would say a good meditation is a nap doesn't even touch that.
I love it. Hey, we want to remind everybody that, although it is a trying time and it's a different time for everybody right now, there are some silver linings out there. And please try to take some time to smell the roses, stop and appreciate those. That's what we kind of wanted this episode to be about, is to kind of figure out how to look at this with a different set of lenses on.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, quite literally stop and smell the roses. A lot of people are going for walks. Ashley and I like to go for walks, which is something we didn't do before this. And I have a weird thing that I like. Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yes.
Yeah. Hedges.
Hedges.
I've always liked hedges.
Huh.
Don't hedges just make a yard look really kind of dressed up and nice?
Yeah.
So I'm not smelling roses because I can't smell things. My nose doesn't work. But I like to stop and look at hedges, and Ashley is nice enough to indulge my interest in hedges. So if you live near my house and you have a hedge, I guarantee I've stopped in and looked at it.
So as Dr. Matt said, stop and admire the hedges. You're listening to Project Recovery. Without the help of useonlyasdirected.org, we wouldn't be able to do this weekly. They've got a 3-part solution to help with the opioid crisis. It's speak out, opt out, and then throw out. Project Recovery is a KSL podcast.
The contents of this program are for informational purposes only. The program is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed therapist, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this program. KSL does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the program. Reliance on any information provided on the program is solely at your own risk.